Welcome, everyone, to Crunch Time Sports Podcast. My name is Scott Mitchell.
And I'm your other host, Jalen Leach.
And in today's episode, we have a very special guest joining us today. He's going to be the athletic director from the Nicholls State University, Mr. J.T. Terrell. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks y'all so much for having me. Excited to be here, being able to talk to my folks across in North Carolina.
Appreciate it. Glad to have you on. Jalen, we're going to let you go ahead and get started.
So, can you talk to us about your journey from being quarterback at Nicholls State and then coaching there and then eventually becoming the first African-American athletic director at your alma mater? Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So it's funny. I'm 1993, I get here and get an opportunity to play college football. Not many student athletes in high school get to do that. And I thought for sure that I was going to go to Southern Miss, and ended up at Nicholls State. And it's funny because I talk about two types of people. You end up here or you want to be here. And after my first 3 days, I wanted to be here. And man, great group of friends, great group of people. We had some rough goals. My first year we went 3-8. Second year, 5 and I think we were 8. We were 5-6, and then the following year we went 0-11. But we had a coaching change, and I tell you, we had some rough times. So you're talking about learning to deal with opposition and difficult times. And the following year, Coach Rebo was a part of the 0-11 staff, who was our head football coach. And the following year, we went 8-3 to the playoffs, and it was the fastest turnaround. Our head coach at the time, Darren Barbier, won the Eddie Robinson Award. So it was good, man. I happened to be coaching that year, the year that we went 8-3. Broke my wrist 2 times in a row. My season was over. But when I got into coaching, I thought, ain't nothing else I'd rather do. This is unbelievable. So I had an opportunity to coach here as a student assistant. And here, we didn't have many people on the staff. So I ended up coaching the wide receivers myself. So I wasn't too much of a student assistant. I had my own position. They treated me like a full-time coach, and I went to school and got a degree. So after that, went to high school, man, and I just always I coached at Brother Martin High School, always come back. I loved everything about Nicholls State. I loved Thibodeau. We were living in LaPlace at the time, my wife and I. She was finishing her last year here at Nicholls, and then right when she graduated, she got offered a job to teach, and I got offered a job to move to come to Houma, Louisiana, and teach at Vanderbilt Catholic High School with one of my college coaches. And we moved back to Thibodeau fast. So call it home. It's always been home, 27 years. So we did that, and then I did that for 4 years and 5 years at Vanderbilt. And got a phone call. I tell you, I tell this story all the time because it still gives me chills. The bell of telling me where to go didn't do me so well because it would just wear me out, man. So I would hear that bell, and I looked at my buddy Mark King, and I remember telling him, I said, "Mark, that's my last bell, bro." He was like, "What you doing?" I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing, but I ain't doing this." And so I love the aspect of teaching and being around those kids at the time, but I wanted something different. And so I dropped to my knees one night, and as I would always do, but this time I asked for something very specific, and specifically asked for I wanted God to give me an opportunity to do something else. And I didn't know what that change was, but I just wanted to follow whatever it was that he would lead me to. My phone rang within 5 minutes of that. My wife probably thought I fell asleep on the ground on my knees, and I was there alone. I was asking for a lot of stuff, bro. But so the phone rings, and I answer it, and it's the head coach, Darrell Day, and he goes, "Hey man," he said, it's at least 10:15, so it's late. And he goes, "I just want to ask you this. You ever thought about being a quarterback coach at your alma mater? Because I want to offer you the job." And I remember being like, be careful what you ask for because God answers. And I said no. I said, man, I really appreciate that, but I can't take that pay cut. So I said, I was like, "Coach, I'm really going to have to think about this, man." I was thinking to myself, I just asked God to give me something different. I ain't asked for a pay cut too. So, so it was funny. So my wife being who she is, Taryn was always, I mean, just so great. And so always helping and pushing me along. And like I always say, she believed in me more than I believed in myself. And her very word, we drove to school one day, I was really choked up on whether I should do this or not. And she looked at me and she said, when has he ever forsaken us? And I will never forget that conversation in the car. And I said, you're right. I was 19-year-old, a 20-year-old married with a kid playing college football and didn't have anything. And now I'm going to question now. So I jumped in, went to take the job, coached the quarterbacks for a year. And I guess it was just part of the plan. We went through a rough time. We had some sanctions and some things that go on. And Coach Darryl Day Jay Thomas becomes the head coach. Like right before football season, we lose like 20 players, and everybody is counted us out of even being able to compete. And we go 5-5. A really good season. Like I thought we could have won conference. We were that good with just kids with really big hearts. And to be a part of that was unbelievable. So I made 1 year, man. 1 year, I get a phone call to do pharmaceutical sales. And I've been trying to do that for like 4 years. And I finally got the opportunity. I took the job. And when I took the job, I tell you, I left. I don't know if I was gone 2 days, man. I drove by the practice field every day and cried like a baby. Thought it was the biggest mistake of my life. And so I had to figure out a way to still be involved and still do a job that I knew that would give my family an opportunity to live better than what we were. So I did it. I started what they called at the time it was called a locker room. It wasn't even a club. It was like locker room something. And what I did was I went to all my buddies and made them. I put their name on a locker. Of a current player's locker and gave them $100, and they gave me $100, and I donated, and we gave it to the program. And so I started that. Then we channeled it into what we call the First Down Club. Me and my buddy Greg Reynolds, who was offensive lineman at the time when I played, and we started off with about 8 people, raised about $8,000, and took it from 8 to about 200 people, and raising about 120,000. So we moved really fast, had a lot of help with doing that, and the community just surrounding the energy and the electricity. But it was a way for me to dive back in. I mean, Coach Thomas was still here at the time. I felt like, I had access to everything. I was in his office all the time. I stayed at night sometimes and broke down film. So I still was able to get a little taste of that ball. You know what I mean? So good, man. He was so good to me. So, and then I went into, my boss left, and I think we split up a couple of times. We always called it. I went to a different company. She did. But out of the 15 years that I was in medical and device sales, 13 of them, I worked for her, the same woman who brought me into it. And I always give her a lot of credit because she took a chance on a football coach to become the top salesman in the country for a company, a Fortune 500 company. So it was awesome. We're best of friends. We had she told me she was still mourning like I died, still mourning my leaving, my going away. But, so I did. And then when this opportunity came about, my buddy was the AD, and I say buddy, but a really good friend of mine, but I didn't know him from Adam. And then 4 years ago, he takes his job, and we become very, very close. He had an energy. He was young. He's a lawyer. He knew the rules. And so I was by his side all the time and just kind of introducing him to the community and stuff like that. And he dove in, did a really, really good job, and succeeded really fast. And his home school called him back. The school that he left called him back to be, vice president and of athlete. They gave him a vice president role as an athletic director, and he is gonna knock it out there. But Matt Rohn was the reason, and I never forget. He called me. I was in New Orleans, and he said that he was leaving, and he was really, really torn, man, because this place captures you. It's a special, special place. And so he was leaving. He was torn up. I drove back from New Orleans to talk to him. And as we were talking, I mean, he's not even left the building yet. I mean, I don't even know if they announced that he had his new job yet. And he looks at me and he goes, "It's your time. You need to do this." And I always wanted to do it. I wanted to do it 5 years ago when he took the job. But, sometimes you just got to know when it's not your time. And I didn't think it was. I would tell my friends, I would go, "Man, we're going to have the perfect guy. Matt Rome's going to be able to do it." He did. And then when he said that, I think to me, it just clicked and I looked at him and I said, "We're really good friends and don't lie to me. I know I'm really good at some things." I said, "But can I do this job in your capacity? I know I can raise money, but can I do the other stuff?" And he said, "Yep, I'm just nervous that you might do it better than me." And so it just, the confidence that gave me, sorry about that, guys. The confidence that gave me was just awesome. So applied for the job, man, and COVID hit. CV-19 came into play and shut us down. And I remember turning my stuff in and thinking, I don't know what they're going to do. And the interim AD, Lindsay McCaskill, that, ran the department and was holding it down. And it wasn't what she wanted to do. So it wasn't like I was going to battle her for the job, right? And so that was a good thing to come to know that. But hey, when I got the opportunity, they told me that I got an interview. That's all I wanted was a chance.
Yep.
And they gave it to me, and had the interview and got the final interview, and there was about 50 people, and it was nothing I've ever been through in my life to interview. I mean, I can talk, as y'all can tell.
Yeah.
But from 7 to 3:30 was a little bit much for me. And I went from 7 to 3:30, man. I remember getting home and my wife wanting to know everything. And Tam was like, tell me everything. And I'm thinking, man, you should have been there or recorded it because I am tired, So it was good. And then here I am today, man, and to be able to do it and have, my sister, Jalen's mom, come down, and my two brothers, and to have family around and so much support within the community. It is really just amazing. But I tell you, the sales background, I didn't follow the path of everybody else, right? Whether you were in tickets or compliance and all of that stuff. I just had a passion for the university, a sales background. And at the end of the day, it's about people, cultivating relationships. And when you're the athletic director, that's what it's about. Whether it's the student athlete, the coaches, faculty on campus, or the community, it's about cultivating relationships. And I just sold the fact that they didn't have to teach me that. There's some things they're gonna have to teach me, but that's one they wouldn't.
So thanks for sharing that. So with going along your journey, what are some other lessons that you've learned throughout the years anything about yourself or about your family, anything?
Yeah. So here's the one thing I know, and when I start something new, I dive in, and I'm probably gone for 6 months, and my family feels that pain. And I promised myself that I would, and my sister reminds me often to not do it as hard as I do it, but it's a competitive edge that I can't help myself. That is just who I am, right? And somebody hires you, you want to do a good job, not only to prove yourself, but to just remind them that they did the right thing, right? And so there's somebody looking at the committee and Dr. Kloon thinking you did the right thing, but there's also somebody looking going, let's see. And so I always feel like I have something to prove, and listen, I've walked on, I'm here on the many shoulders of others. I talk about my cousin, Gerald Butler, and a few guys that, they were the first African-Americans to play football here.
Wow.
And so I grew up with them. And to be here as the athletic director, he and we talked on the phone, and I really couldn't get out many words without being in tears, because, you think about what they endured, and to the position that I am in right now, I mean, to me, it seems normal. To them, they look and go, look at the process and the progress in which we're moving. And so I think that I've learned, one, to be very humble. I'm humbled by all the excitement. The other thing on this journey I've learned is that it's always about people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're true to people, they will do things for you. I mean, me and my boss used to laugh because when I was #1 in the country for our company, and they put you on stage and do all of this stuff, the one speech he made was, he knew everybody from the janitor staff to the doctor. And so that meant the world to me because no matter what your status was, I never treated you any different.
Right.
And so there was people that would help me at those doctor's offices and at those hospitals that other people didn't know. I knew where the doctor was because Mr. Mike, the janitor, would go, "Hey, you about to go to the 3rd floor?" Dr. Karut just left. He went down to the hospital cath lab. He might not tell anybody else that because they don't spend time talking to him and
Right.
just listening or saying hello. And so I think that when you're talking about student athletes and coaches, and people are fighting for their programs, and they need this and they want that, and student athletes need all of this attention. At the end of the day, people don't care what you know till they know you care. That's the God's honest truth about that. And so I spend my time thinking that cultivating relationships is the most important thing, and everything else will follow.
Scott, you got a question?
So actually, one of the biggest things that I've been able to learn about Nicholls State has actually come from the Netflix documentary Last Chance U. How has Ronald Ali and that TV show helped Nicholls State in terms of recruiting? How you guys attempt to, use that as a good foundation in order to help you recruit?
Yeah, so it's funny. So we were Rhino and I'm having just because that's how I am today. But they were I can't believe, I don't know why I want to call him, because Marcus was the other defensive line coach. Anyway, our defensive line coach came from there as well.
Oh.
And he's here. Rhino Ali and him were both on the show together, and they both played here.
Right.
He's our defensive line coach right now.
Wow.
And so,
Man.
and is that crazy? But he is so I talk when I think about just the Last Chance U part of it. I didn't know anything about the show, and people would come to me and go, "Man, Rhino Ali is on Last Chance U. He's at Nicholls State. Do you know him?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Last Chance U." The dude was eating at my house like all the time. Like I knew him, but I didn't know him that way, right? So he would stop over, and I'm always trying to find somebody to make feel comfortable, and I was trying to make him feel at home. And if you know Ronald's story, I mean, he had a tough time, so we just kind of adopted him, and he would stop by, and I would send red beans and rice down to him and stuff. But the show itself did a lot for the JUCO world. For us, we got exposure because of it. But the biggest thing is that when you go out to recruit, now they know what Nicholls State University is.
Right.
You know what I mean? That becomes the biggest part of it, is knowing that. Y'all, I'm finding this dude's name because I ain't letting that go down that way. You understand? That wears me out. And if he and I'm glad he probably don't know that I'm on, because he'll be dogging me out. Talking about, "Coach, how you gonna do me like that?" Marcel Andrew.
Marcel, that's right. I couldn't remember. I knew it was MAR. I couldn't remember what the rest.
I know, me too.
Was.
But I didn't want to say Marcus. I was like, "Hey, Marcus." I think Marcus is his brother. But Marcel Andrew and Rhino both, and then Marcel is our defensive line coach. I mean, it's amazing that to see where they come from, and Rhino comes by and visit, and just has done well. I know he had, a tough little stint, but I know he's gonna get a shot in Canada or somewhere. But it was good because listen, we use any part that we can for marketing. And
Absolutely.
if they want to help our marketing budget because we ain't got one,
Right.
Without a doubt, we're gonna use that.
We'll take it for sure.
So I guess before you get out of here, I guess the final question we could talk about is with the current state of the coronavirus and everything going on in the country. What do you see as your plan moving forward, going into the fall semester? Is anything going to happen? Are students even going to be back? What are some of the things that you've heard, and how are you processing all of that?
Yeah, so it's funny. I just got off a call. Is why we had to go at 11. I got off a call, and we're moving as planned, man. We have students supposed to show back up on the 9th, I guess. Maybe, yeah. Football starts. So I think it's like middle August.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, and we just finished talking about like housing and all of those things, and our biggest deal is what it's going to look like when we're talking about fall sports, and nobody knows. And and the deal is that we can go down a bunch of rabbit holes and never get out of them. The deal is that we have to be ready if it's a go, and so we have to have plans and in place. And so we're gonna. We just talked about it a little while ago. Tomorrow, sorry about that. You there?
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go out and measure our stadium.
Oh, to do
about 6 feet apart and 6 feet around. And so we're thinking about having just only season ticket holders.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking about doing a section where we're doing season ticket holders plus, because if the season ticket holders, we can fit more.
Right.
But it'd be first come, and they get their season ticket holders to come and get their tickets early. We're thinking about doing it by no more than 4 people a family, so you can sit 4,
right,
but 6 from that 4. So we thought about having sections where there's 4, where there's 2, where there's did we say, we might have said 6? I don't think we did. We said 2, 4, and then singles.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a single section where you can sit and be 6 feet apart. So we're just trying to have a plan of how we're going to move forward, how we're going to fit people in the stadium and get things going. We just don't know what's going to happen. I know everybody's on pins and needles, man. I need the LSU game to happen on October 5th for my budget. So, you know what I mean? So I need that to go down. But at the end of the day, man, we got to worry about the safety, and health of everybody, and make the decision that's good for the whole. But I tell you, it'd be a long time coming if we don't have a football season to start off our fall, man. Be tough.
Scott, do you have any other questions you want to ask?
I'm good, if you are.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan, for joining us, and congratulations on getting the job and on your first day today. Congratulations on that, and we'll be in touch soon.
Hey, thank y'all so much for having me, man. It's a blessing. Good to see y'all both. Take care of yourself. Hope to get to North Carolina soon now.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll be coming down soon.
Hey, calm down. I got you. I ain't got nobody
Absolutely.
living in my house right now. They all moved out.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely have somebody.
That'll happen.
I got room.
All
Y'all
right.
come.
All right,
Thanks,
y'all. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Buddy. All right, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
This podcast is powered by Low Life Culture. Low Life Culture is a positive lifestyle brand with a centric focus in sports, mental health, positivity, and faith. Low Life stands for lack of worries and living in fearless efforts. The company, founded by KJ Myers, a West Virginia football alum, focuses on improving your life through the efforts of your own and faith in God. The Low Life logo is a simple red balloon. The balloon represents letting go of all your stress and negativity, allowing them to just float away and rid yourself of life's burdens. For more information on the brand, follow at LL Culture on Twitter, download the Low Life Culture app in the App Store and Google Play, and go on their website by clicking the link in the description below.